First, let's talk about the basics of datasets in Microsoft Excel. To illustrate the next few steps, we'll be dealing with an Excel file. In iLearn, please locate the file called class2 ThreesCompany and open it. This will be the file we'll be working with for the next few steps. This is a very simple data set, much smaller than anything you would see in the real world. The basic story here is this. You have three roommates that spend money together. They're close friends. They usually don't care who spends money on what. But one of the roommates is suspecting that they're not paying equally. Some roommates are paying more than others, and maybe they're spending too much money on some items and not enough some other items. And to examine the situation closely, let's say Özgür decides to keep track of each transaction the three roommates had done in the next month, let's say in the month March. Here we see 24 transactions that took place in 1 month by each roommate. 24 records, as you can see. For each transaction, we have 4 attributes. Who spent the money, when, and this corresponds to which week. What was the money spent on? And apparently they only spend money on beer, food, and car. And how much money was spent during that transaction. This is an Excel data set, and we will be using it as an Excel database, if you will. In order to make sure that you have a properly set up Excel data set, you need to check for the following. The first row of your data set should have your headings. So the attribute names should be in your first row. The subsequent rows after that first row should include your data. In database jargon, each row here is a record, and I have 24 records in this dataset. There should not be any blank rows within the dataset. So as you can see, there's a blank row here at row 26, but that marks the end of my dataset. If I had, let's say, row 14 blank, then Excel would have thought this to be 2 separate datasets. And in fact, the second one wouldn't have headers. Similarly, the dataset should not have any blank columns. It should be a continuous set of columns. If we had a blank column between columns A and B and D and E, then again, Excel would have recognized this as 2 separate data sets, not a single one. So, to summarize, you should have headings in the first row, and there is a blank row at the end of your database, and there's a blank column at the end of your database.